When I listen to your podcast, despite what you said about soccer right there, I'm always impressed how you can just keep interest in so many different sports. And what I'm wondering is, since you often traffic in the objective analysis, I wonder if you could step outside yourself and step outside your baseball bailiwick and determine what is objectively the best sport, if that's even possible.
See, I also believe I accept relativism. I understand that people have different tastes, and because I'm Canadian, I'm not one to impose my will on other people, except on the basketball court, of course. And so, for that reason, I'm not ready to make that judgment. I think that it's difficult to do that empirically. There are, billions of people around the world that think that soccer is the best sport. I get it. It's just not mine. So I don't think I have a good answer for you. I think let's break it down this way. If you believe in timelessness and romanticism and things like that, then I think baseball's for you. You can go multiple hours and you can kind of sit back and it's more leisurely. If you want quick hitting, I think you got to talk about basketball, and I think you can put hockey in there too, by the way. If you want to talk about where it's more wide open and scoring is very rare, I think you can make the case for soccer. You know what's weird? I've kind of soured on the NFL over the years. I don't know why or how that happened. I've been in the same fantasy league for 15 years. I've followed the same team. I'm not a huge fan of this team, but I follow the Jets for what it's worth for all these years. And they've actually been better in the last little while than they were when I was growing up, when they were kind of crappy in the 80s. But for some reason, it's fallen off. I don't know. If I had to look at the hierarchy, I'd put NFL probably last. I think NFL is largely a function of gambling and fantasy, of things of that nature. I'm even going to go out on a limb, and I know this is the Canadian me talking, but if you're talking about pure excitement of the sport, I think CFL is more exciting than NFL. You get to run before the play starts. It's basically willy-nilly what's going on in the CFL. I think that's just a more exciting sport on a purely aesthetic level to watch than the NFL is.
Well, that's very interesting, and I have a similar struggle with football, or I've similarly waned on football. I think because I'm an American, I just can't quit it, even though I kind of want to be, I want to diss it, I want to kick out of my life, the girlfriend hates it, but it's just in my blood, and I can't necessarily get away with it. Shifting gears to food, though,
yes.
One of my favorite segments, or the favorite segment on your podcast, is the food pick of the week. And I was wondering, how do you feel? I feel like the food pick of the week almost harkens back to an older era where we would hear about food places through word of mouth. And I was wondering if you like the almost the advanced statistics era of food, where we can find out about it through Yelp and through, all these various rating websites. Do you think that's a great thing, or do you just kind of miss the hearing about a place?
I have some faith in Yelp and all that stuff, but if you, Ethan, say to me, if you're in Cleveland, you have to go to place X because it's the best place to get fish or steak or whatever, then I'm going to believe you more than I believe Yelp, because I know you in the last 5 minutes. And so, as a result, that's kind of what I'm going to do. And I just think that we still... Even in the modern era, even the internet, there's still familiarity. I think that's what social networking is these are still people. Now, I'm not as close to you as I am to my lifelong friends, but I'm closer to you than I am to just a nameless, faceless group of people on Yelp, on Serious Eats, or whatever. So I think it's going to change a little bit. And I am trying for a little bit of a word of the mouth thing. And the people that I have on the show have some minor credibility in their field, sometimes major credibility, depending on who the guest is. And so maybe because they're the general manager of this team, you should believe them when they tell you where to go get sushi. I don't know, but I find it interesting. And personally, a lot of what I do on the show is just me being curious. When Simmons started doing this Q&A concept before he did his podcast, he called it the Curious Guy. That's it. That's what interviews are. It's the curious guy or the curious gal. I want to know about you, Ethan. Let's talk about whatever. Let's talk about basketball. Let's talk about where and what you like to eat, and be done with it. And I think that's what it is for me. And my picks are very centered in specific parts of the country or in the world, because they're where I've been. I've lived on the coasts pretty much. So I don't have much to tell you about the best steak in Nebraska. I'm sure there's great steak there, but I don't know. And so I rely on people to come on the show. If anything, I've probably not done a good enough job of guiding them to fill my gaps. I just say, you pick anywhere, and inevitably they say, okay, I'll take Per Se because it's the best 5-star restaurant in New York or whatever. Well, that doesn't I've been to New York too. You got to do better than that. So in the future, that's what I'm going to try to foster is to have something be comprehensive. I want people to be able to know where to get, good ice cream in Iowa or good whatever overseas or anything like that. It shouldn't just be the places that I've been that I like. That's why I encourage the guests to do it too.